The structure of Daniel 11 plus, a chiasm, verses 5 through 12:3. How do we know there is a chiasm here? The second layer, the blue layer of the chiasm, is the biggest clue. That is Daniel 11:16 on the left and Daniel 11:20 through 22 on the right. How so, I hear you say? It mentions the glorious land in Daniel 11:16, which is the equivalent of the pleasant land of Daniel 8:9, a reference to Judea or the promised land of the Jews, while it mentions the Prince of the Covenant in Daniel 11:20 through 22, which is the equivalent of the Messiah the Prince, the one who was cut off to confirm the covenant, of Daniel 9:25 through 27. You will recall the rarity of the Hebrew word translated prince here, that it only occurs 3 times in the book of Daniel, here, in Daniel 9:25, and in Daniel 9:26. You will also recall that the term covenant first appears in the prophetic visions of Daniel in Daniel 9:24 through 27, in connection with the Messiah. The thing to take note of here is that when you read Daniel 11:16 through 22, you can't help notice a pattern. Verse 16 mentions the Jews, verse 16's the glorious land, being a clear reference to the promised land of the Jews. Then verses 17 through 19 make no mention of the Jews. Finally, verses 20 through 22 again mention the Jews. Verse 22's the Prince of the Covenant, in the light of Daniel 9:24 through 27, being a clear reference to the Messiah of the Jews. Note, prior to verse 16, the only reference to the Jews is verse 14's, the robbers of thy, Daniel's people. And after verse 22, the only clear references to the Jews are verse 41's, the glorious land, and the closely associated, the glorious holy mountain, of verse 45. But neither of these can be literal, but must be symbolic because they mention Edom, Moab, and the children of Ammon, peoples which no longer exist. There is further proof that these 3 nations are symbolic, but this must wait for a later time. The covenant mentioned in verses 28, 30, and 32 must refer to the New Covenant, and thus to the Christian Church, as it occurs after the death sacrifice of the Messiah, verse 22. What of the first layer, the yellow layer of the chiasm? Is there any indication that it is a layer of a chiasm? Does it parallel itself in some way? Patterns of Daniel 11, the chiasm. Conflict, the king of the north versus the king of the south, Daniel 11:5 through 15, and conflict, the king of the north versus the king of the south, Daniel 11:23 through 12:3. Join themselves together, Daniel 11:6, paralleled by league, Daniel 11:23. As can be seen from the strong number 2266, both join themselves together and league are translations of the same Hebrew word underlyingly. Heart, Daniel 11:12, paralleled by 3 occurrences of courage, heart, Daniel 11:25, 27, and 28. All translations being the same Hebrew word underlyingly. Precious, silver and gold, Daniel 11:8, paralleled by 2 occurrences of gold, silver, and pleasant, precious things, Daniel 11:38 and 43. All being the same Hebrew words underlyingly as seen by the strong number. Egypt, Daniel 11:8, paralleled by 2 occurrences of Egypt, Daniel 11:42 and 43. 11 occurrences of king of the north, south. Daniel 11, 5 through 9, 11, and 13 through 15. Paralleled by 4 occurrences of king of the north, south. Daniel 11:25 and 40. Note, none of these words occur in verses 16 through 22.